Hello and welcome to the e-commerce club. Today we're going to talk about a subject that is so popular in e-commerce and the subject of a lot of controversy, and that is dropshipping. Loads of you guys have already asked me what's my opinion on dropshipping. Is it a complete waste of time? Is it even a scam? Or can I legitimately make money on autopilot with one of these easy dropshipping systems? Well, I've been in e-commerce for 25 years. I've launched multiple ultra successful online brands, and I've helped hundreds of other businesses with their e-commerce stores. So you might say I know a little thing or two about selling online. And let me tell you a little secret. I have done a lot of dropshipping in the past, but not using the same methods that we're seeing online today. So I've done a deep dive on the most popular dropshipping models, and I'm going to give you my opinion if they're a complete waste of your time or if it's something you absolutely should be jumping on. So let's dive right in. Is dropshipping a yes or a no way? Let's find out. First of all, I guess it's good to understand what actually is dropshipping. Well, it's probably one of the easiest, most simple ways to sell online. Dropshipping, it's a method to sell products without the need for inventory. E-commerce retailers can offer a wide variety of items without upfront costs or storage requirements. Basically, you have the website, and the stock on your website you don't hold. You don't keep the stock, you don't touch the stock. When someone buys something on your website, the supplier ships it out for you and it goes straight to the customer. In a nutshell, that is what dropshipping is. But what we want to know, is it viable in today's market? People used to make money in this back when it's new, but today that's probably going to be a lot more difficult. One of the things that we keep hearing about is AI automated systems that have resurrected dropshipping, and we're starting to see it everywhere again. It's currently a very popular choice for entrepreneurs, but you really got to think about it carefully. Got to think about market trends and the competition if you're going to succeed at it. Now let's take a look at some of the pros and the cons of a dropshipping model. First of all, probably the most obvious one is that low startup cost. You can get an e-commerce store off the ground with almost no investment. And that's so attractive to anyone that wants to try out e-commerce, try out running their own business. You'll not need much money up front because quite simply, you won't need to buy a load of stock. And that's really going to increase the accessibility for people. And this low barrier of entry makes it very accessible with very little risk. If it doesn't work out, I guess you haven't lost much. Maybe just some time and effort and a little bit of web development or web setup costs. So that makes it very attractive for anyone to get involved. And then you've got that location flexibility. We all want to work from a nice sunny country in the most idealistic of climates, work our own hours as well. And of course, because you don't need to ship the stock out, because you don't need to physically handle any goods, all you need is your laptop. So theoretically, you can pretty much work from anywhere in the world, and that is very attractive. Some of you already know I moved to Marbella in Spain for the climate after selling all of my e-commerce businesses. And one of the big attractions for me in the job that I do now is that I can do it from anywhere in the world. I'm looking more about lifestyle now than that 9-to-5 daily grind. And with these current dropshipping models, they are offering that too. It's very flexible and you can literally work from a sunbed on a beach if you want to. And that's got to be appealing to most people. And then there's the product selection. You can find almost any niche with drop shipping suppliers available. There are thousands and thousands of products that can be drop shipped from all over the world. And of course, because you don't need any investment to have a big product range, you can list almost every product available if that's what you want to do. Essentially, you can have a mega store via one e-commerce website and you haven't paid a penny for any stock or any warehousing or logistics operation. In some respects, this all seems a little bit too easy, but I've only got good things to say so far. But don't worry, the negatives are coming. And with today's technology, we have modern AI integrations, and that makes the whole thing even easier to get onboarded, to get your website launched. And the AI is even now going to help you pick more profitable products and find all the popular products as well. Fair to say, AI has played a big part in the explosion of dropshipping entrepreneurs, combined with social media, of course. And one of the things that I really love is that it's super scalable. There is no limits to the amount of markets that you can reach. There's no limits to the countries you can send to, and there's no limits to the amount of products that you can hold. Actually, the only thing holding you back from scaling up is how good your marketing is. As you probably already know, having a website is only a little bit of the battle. It's the marketing and the exposure and getting customers to your website that's going to make the big difference. But potentially, you've got something super scalable here. I actually feel like I'm almost wanting to start a dropshipping business myself, just based on all this positive stuff. But bear with me, because there are many more things to be considered. But one that we shouldn't forget is the low cost. We've mentioned you don't need to invest in stock or warehousing, which is very, very attractive, but overall, you won't even need any staff. With those AI integrations, you'll probably not need any developers. We are actually talking about starting a business that could potentially scale global, and you can probably do it all for under $100. And that's kind of crazy if you think about it. But it can't all be good news. There's gotta be some negative sides to this. If you go and you watch any of the guys that are promoting dropshipping online, any of the YouTube channels, any of the social media influencers, or any of the dropshipping websites themselves, everything I've just told you is going to be the sort of thing you're going to hear on these platforms. You're probably only going to hear the positive sides. They might throw a little bit of negativity in there just for balance. But I want to give you my analysis on why you also shouldn't start a dropshipping business. So let's take a look at some of the cons. First and foremost are those low profit margins. Often you're shipping from China or you're shipping single items more or less direct to the customer, and that is a very expensive way to operate. Easily people are going to be able to compare the price of your products, and they're going to see that your prices aren't that good. And it becomes a race to the bottom. Everyone just keeps undercutting and undercutting each other in an effort to try to sell that product. In many cases, they're happy to work for less than $1 just to get products moving. They think about volume instead of profit margins. And you can find yourself having to deal with thousands of inquiries if you're lucky enough, but all that work is generating a very small amount of actual profit because the margins have been squeezed so tight by the high shipping costs and the lack of bulk buying, which means you're probably paying way too much for your products. And another thing I really don't like is the lack of control. When you're relying on someone else for the shipping, and if they don't do everything perfectly, that's going to come back on you. The customer doesn't care who shipped it, and if things are running late, they're going to be emailing you, leaving you bad reviews, and be unhappy with you. And the annoying thing about it is it wasn't your fault. So it's absolutely crucial that you choose reliable partners. But even if you have some of the best dropshipping partners out there, couriers still mess up, customs delays still happen, damages still happen, especially if you're shipping from as far away as China. And if you're trying to do that high volume, low profit margin model, while shipping thousands of orders every week means you're going to get hundreds of headaches, hundreds of emails about all those orders. Where is it? Why is it late? Why have I got a customs delivery charge? And that's going to create a lot of work for not a lot of profit. Personally, I like to be in control of when my goods are shipped out, which couriers I use, and which countries I send to, because then we can stop any problems before they happen, such as using good couriers, packaging well, and informing a customer if they're likely to get hit with any sort of import duty or problems at the border, and that keeps people happy. Your drop shipping supplier absolutely will not do that. It's not in their interest. They're far too busy shipping out thousands of orders every single day. So not having control can be really, really bad for your business. When it comes to logistics for drop shipping, this is one of the biggest problems you're going to have. You're shipping items usually halfway around the world singly. That is very, very expensive, and it's very, very slow. When we buy things online, we often expect next day delivery or 48-hour delivery, but even the fastest, most expensive couriers are going to take at least 7 days. And then if customs get involved, you're going to have more expense and more delays. It's a bad experience for the customer, and it's an expensive experience for the seller. And those sort of things are going to put customers off returning because they don't want to have to wait all that time for their goods to arrive. Or many customers are just impatient and won't even order in the first place because they're not prepared to put up with the long waiting times. And they realize if it's coming from far away, returning it is going to be expensive and painstaking. They won't want to deal with that. I'm not saying nobody will buy, but you will find 80+% of customers are just put off by the pure logistics alone. If it was being shipped locally, then it's easier to return, it's arriving faster, and that's a huge win for encouraging customers to make the purchase, and you're going to convert a lot more customers when you can deliver quick. And of course, don't forget slow deliveries, lots of delays. That's going to have a negative impact on your online reputation. Take a minute and go and look at any of the e-commerce websites that are drop shipping, especially if their goods are coming from halfway around the world. And you're going to see a lot of negative reviews, and those reviews are putting a lot of people off buying. There's a big reason why a lot of these websites don't last. They don't get the repeat business that we all need from customers, and their online reputation is progressively getting worse and worse and worse. Eventually, they just have to close it down because the reviews are so bad, and they've run out of people that are willing to actually buy from them. And when it comes to logistics, you're going to be up against the bulk buy competition. These are the guys that actually know what they're doing. They've got confidence in their business model, and they've went to the suppliers, often some of the same suppliers that you have, but they are buying items in massive bulk. That's going to give them huge negotiating power, and they are going to be getting much, much lower prices than you, and they're shipping it in bulk via container ships. And this can often be less than 10% of the cost of shipping one item. So all the extra costs that you've accumulated by buying one item at a time and sending singly via a courier, they've more or less wiped out. They've got their stock in their warehouse ready to ship next day, and they're either going to have much higher profit than you or much lower prices. And it's very unlikely you're even going to have the margin to be able to compete with them. To match the prices that these guys can do will probably mean selling at a loss. So if you're thinking about drop shipping, make sure you go and check all the products that you have listed and see what they're selling for. You'll probably find many of those products already in big warehouses in your country. They've been bought in bulk and the profit is gone. You won't stand a chance to compete against these guys. And then we have the quality. When you don't touch the goods, when you don't sample the goods, when you don't actually see them, you don't know what your customers are getting. And that's a real problem in many, many ways. First of all, if your supplier ships out anything broken or bad quality, that's on you. You're the person that has to deal with a refund. And in many cases, it's not even worth returning. You just have to straight up give them their money back. And good luck getting that back out of your dropshipping supplier. Most of the time, they're not even going to care, so you'll be at a loss. And if it's a more expensive item and needs to be shipped back, the cost of that normally is going to be on you. So not only are you working on super small margins, now you're having to pay out a lot of costs because your quality wasn't up to scratch and items are having to be returned and refunded all at your expense. And another problem that's going to create, again, is your reputation. People won't be happy if they're not getting the best quality products, so they're going to leave you bad reviews. They're going to talk about you negatively on social media, and all those things are actively going to be very bad marketing for your business. And it's no surprise that a lot of these e-commerce drop shipping companies don't last. They build up bad reputations. They find it very hard to make any money. They normally end up going bust and we never hear from them again. But if that's not enough, don't forget the high competition. You've maybe watched some of my previous videos on choosing products, where to buy and where not. And we've dialed down into the high levels of competition when you buy from places like Alibaba, AliExpress, and a lot of the dropshipping suppliers. You are going to see the same product everywhere. And that gives you a saturated market, wipes out the profit, and makes it very difficult to attract any customers at all. You don't have anything unique to sell. You can't offer a lower price than everyone else because you don't have the margin, and you're in the mix with 100 other businesses selling the exact same product as you. All of those things just make it a complete nightmare for trying to succeed in a successful real business. Now, I hope you're starting to get the picture now. All those positive points looked good on your own, but when you take a deep dive and consider all the other things, it starts to get a little more tricky. And one of those tricky things is going to be customer service. In dropshipping land, you're going to get a lot more complaints because you're not in control of the quality, because you're not in control of the product quality, you're not in control of the shipping, and you're generally dealing with high volume manufacturers, and that usually means lower quality products. You're going to have a lot of delays and you're going to have a lot of dissatisfied customers. I don't know about you, but I would personally find that really, really stressful. If you're lucky enough to be successful with your e-commerce dropshipping store and do get a lot of traffic, you're probably going to have to deal with a lot of very unhappy customers, and none of it will be your fault. I don't know about you, but I personally would find that really stressful and really difficult. And I'm not sure if it's something that I would personally want to be doing. And while the margins are super, super low, and sometimes almost non-existent, don't forget about the extra costs. All those lost and damaged items need to be paid for by someone, and that's normally going to be you in terms of credit card chargebacks. Good luck speaking to your dropshipping supplier. They normally stick their head in the sand. They normally don't want to know about these things. If that's the case with your supplier, then it's going to cost you. And you'll not be able to avoid it because it's very easy to do credit card chargebacks, PayPal chargebacks, and all of those things that keep the customer safe. You'll end up being the one that loses out, and you've been putting all that hard work in, and you end up giving all your profit away to refunds. Many of these problems are due to one key factor. It's all too easy. The dropshipping models now are set up to look super easy and to make it easy as well, so that you can be set up with a few clicks. All you need is a credit card and a laptop and an email address. And at the click of a few buttons, you have an online fully stocked store. But that creates the problem of super high competition because so many thousands of people are signing up to these things, giving it a go, and you get thousands of the same products all over the marketplaces and advertised constantly on social media. And it's going to be almost impossible to stand out among this massive growing crowd. It's almost a self-defeating business model for the dropshipping companies because as they get more successful and get more retailers to sell their goods, those retailers find it harder and harder and harder to make any money at all, and so they go bust. And when no one's really making any money, then eventually the whole thing comes collapsing down. That's what happened in the past with dropshipping, and I'm pretty confident it's going to happen again. I don't think these things are sustainable. You may have a different opinion, that's okay, but in my experience, if no one's making any money, then the businesses just aren't going to last. And don't forget, you're also going to need traffic to your website. A lot of these dropshipping platforms tell you how easy it is to build a website, to fill it with stock. They might even tell you they've got some free marketing and free SEO automations that are going to get you traffic. But as an SEO expert, an online marketing expert, I can tell you getting traffic to a website that sells the same goods as everyone else is nearly impossible. You've got to have something original. You've got to have something that makes you stand out, whether that's prices or products or whatever the USP is. If you don't have one, getting customers onto your website becomes more difficult and more expensive. And of course, you might think, well, I don't need traffic. I can go on to the marketplaces. But don't forget, those marketplaces are taking anywhere from 12 to 20% in fees. And you do not have the margin for a marketplace. It was gone a long time ago when you started shipping items singly halfway across the world. So in all likelihood, you're probably going to have to buy your traffic through Google ads and social media ads. But again, you just are not going to have the margin to do it. So it's going to be very, very difficult to get that traffic to your website. So what's going on? How are people actually making money? How does this whole system work? Because yes, the advertising makes it look all too good to be true, but when we actually delve into it, then it all starts to fall apart. But it's still big business. So I think one of the things that we can do is take a look at the most popular dropshipping platforms and see how it actually works. Here we have DSers. This is probably the biggest dropshipping platform out there right now. It's very popular. It integrates with AliExpress. It integrates with your Shopify and Wix, and it finds you products. It can be all preloaded onto your website. And of course, you don't really have to do much. You market the website and the orders go to it, and it sorts out the logistics via the suppliers. How does it make money? Well, very simple. When we go to the pricing, we can see that it's not cheap. There are fees of up to $500 a month. Of course, there's a basic one to get you tempted in and a low priced one. But if you want to do anything such as sync your orders, get your products AI synced, get AI product titles, you really got to look at the $50 a month package. And of course, if you're dealing with thousands of products, you're going to need something like that. And you'll always see a yearly discount, which is usually pretty big. And the reason for that is it ties you in for a long time. By the time you realize it isn't working, well, you've paid for the year. So the website's happy, you're not happy, but there's nothing you can do there. And as we look at the other dropship options, we've got Tradell. That's one I've looked at before. And again, all looks very pretty, but they have pricing plans. And as always, if you buy the yearly option, it's significantly cheaper. or the lifetime option. If you do the maths, actually after a couple of years, that's going to pay for itself. And it's the yearly and lifetimes that they really want to get you in on. Again, by the time you realize this doesn't work, well, it's too late. You've already paid them a lot of money just to use their software. Or you might want to look at Zendrop. This is one of the ones that markets itself as the high margin drop shipping tool. But if we take a look at the pricing, yet again, we see a similar story. Yes, there's free access to tempt you in, but if you want to get anything decent, you've got to pay some pretty hefty fees. And who'd have guessed that there's that yearly tactic again, giving you discounts, trying to tie you in for a longer term. But how come we keep seeing so many people on social media telling us how much money they've made from dropshipping, showing really convincing screenshots of really high revenue, and they're offering to teach you how to do it too? Just take their free course and you're going to learn everything there is to know and you'll be profitable as well. Well, let me tell you, it's very simple and it's very clever. More than likely, 99% of the time, these guys are not making good money, but they are affiliated with the websites. They get kickbacks for every person that they convince to go and sign up for a subscription. So it's very much in their interest to tell you all the positives, just like we started with in this video, and it looked super convincing. But only when you actually look at the negatives from a more experienced point of view, does it start to become evident that this is very unlikely to work. So I hope you found that insightful. I hope it helped you make some decisions about dropshipping. But there's one more thing I want to tell you. There are dropshipping models that do work. I mentioned at the start that I've done dropshipping in the past. So in my next video, I'm going to show you real strategies and real legitimate things that you can do to start an e-commerce business with a dropshipping model that does not require that you sign up to any subscriptions or any payment-based websites. And it's going to solve a lot of the problems, a lot of the negative things that we looked at with the current dropshipping models. And you actually will be able to start a legitimate business with very low upfront cost, and it has a chance of actually being successful. So make sure you're following for the next video, and I'm really looking forward to teaching you some real things about real e-commerce and real business. Thank you very much for watching, and I will speak to you soon.